Coach, anything you have switched up this year, getting this close to the opener than in the past?
No, same approach. Week 0, we're just trying to get these guys ready mentally and physically for preparation next week. Make sure that from a conditioning standpoint, they get the work that they need. Today was a good day in pads, and just making sure that those two things happen mentally and physically so that we can be ready for Monday.
What did Elijah Dotson show you in the preseason and training camp? I think about you guys to keep him, obviously, at the performance with the Rams.
Yeah, I thought the instincts and the burst, I think that he can see the game, and then when he sees it, there's a burst through the hole, and so you feel the physicality, and we think he can break tackles and to create explosive runs.
And just with AJ Finley, just what did you guys see from him in camp?
Yeah, we feel like he's a good young prospect to work in. He's got a pro body for safety, a really good body. Again, he can see back there. He's a commander. We felt like for a rookie, he really absorbed the playbook and then applied it. In practice, he was very consistent in making plays. We felt like he's a very good tackler and brings some size to the position, and just a good prospect to be developing.
Last couple days we've been out here. So Daiyan hasn't been out here. Is he dealing with something?
Yeah, he had a hamstring in the game.
Is that related to bringing in Tanner?
It's unrelated, yeah.
So with Daiyan, I mean, is there a concern he won't be able to start the season?
No timeline.
And then with Tanner, what's the sort of motivation behind bringing him in?
Yeah, he's a core special team player in all 4 phases, and he's a guy that's got really good speed. I did a lot of work on him coming out of Clemson. Our special teams coaches, Ryan Ficken and Chris Gold, were, really high on him, and as well as our pro scouting department. So, those two sides came together, and we felt like he'd be a good fit to really help us on special teams.
Are you guys hoping to get Xander back on the practice squad?
Yeah, that's the hope for sure.
And then just with Mark Webb, obviously we asked you a lot about him during training camp, but I guess what was the difference there with Mark and AJ when you were coming down to that final decision?
Yeah, it was really close, Daniel, on Mark and AJ. Just felt like AJ developmentally was the right guy to be, choosing at this process. We just felt like he showed a lot as a rookie that we didn't want to lose. We didn't want to risk him getting to, a claim type situation. And again, for all those reasons I mentioned, I think that he's a good prospect to work with. And again, Mark, we think highly of him too.
Would you consider bringing Mark back to the practice squad?
Yeah, that's a little bit up in the air right now, but we like Mark as a prospect.
Brandon, going into your 3rd season, I mean, first season, aggressive on 4th down. Last year, it was a little bit less, but this year, what's your mentality going in when it comes to that kind of aggressiveness?
Yeah, Fernando, just every year's a new year, and you just got to take it one game at a time, because you never know game to game how it's going to be. So we're going to do whatever we think it takes to win.
Lots of teams play close to the vest in the preseason, Brandon. How difficult is it to prepare for week 1?
I think it's probably different for every coach. I mean, we got to play our game in week 1. You got to just take the information that you have, and you got to go, try to play a clean game. Make it more about you in the first game anyway. Use all the information that you can to play against the opponent. But I think early in the season, it's got to be about your football team and making sure you go out there with the right energy, give your guys a game plan that they can go execute, and then you're going to have to make adjustments throughout the game. So if something does happen that, you didn't see or that was unscouted, hey, you've got rules to fall back on that you've been working on since phase 1. So there's always like that excitement, and that little bit of the unknown, and I think that brings out the best in you.
As a head coach, do you like this week to prepare for 1 week before week 1 starts?
I think it's good for the players. I think when you take, the preseason in its totality, it gives the players some more rest, which I think is a good thing. Allows your roster to kind of settle in, make those, little roster maneuvers to get you where you want to be for week 1. So I think it's really good for the players from a rest standpoint, and I think that's really important.
How important is personnel continuity to executing your defensive scheme?
I think any defensive scheme, it's better to have continuity if you can have it. But, every timeline's different. Every situation that you go into is different. There's some times where you go into a situation where it maybe fits more schematically how you would ideally like to play, and so you can get it going, quickly. But then there's some times where, hey, it's kind of a 180 from how you play, and it's going to take some more time. So both things happen in the NFL all the time, team to team, and what you try to do along the way is just you do the best you can with who you have, and you try to play the way that you feel like you need to play in order to win, and that's our job.
Do you look at that, like when you say a 180, did you see that as a 180 from when you took over from Gus in your first season? Like, is that how you characterize it?
We have different philosophies, but again, I think that what's been positive for us is I think teaming up with Tom and JoJo and his staff, Kevin Kelly, we've been able to, in all three phases of our team, kind of engineer it the way that we want it. And so I think we've teamed up in a good way and really have gotten better every single season. I think going into every year, that's what you want to say is that you're a better team than you were last year and that you're building something along the way that's growing. And I think that's what's happening here.
Now that the defense is, like you're saying, engineered the way that you want it to be, does that excite you for the potential of this group, and then on top of having that sort of personnel continuity?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I know all the guys that I'm coaching right now, and I think, body type wise up front, that was big. Was one of the big differences is just changing the profile of what we wanted on the edge and the interior D line, and then the corners. I think what we're looking for in defensive backs a little bit different. So it's been great to go through this process for me, and it happens like this, where it's going to take some time. But this group I'm coaching, I think you guys have seen it in training camp. It likes playing together. I think we've got the pieces to defend the way you need to in the NFL now, depending on who you play. I think that we're built to play against the scheme that we faced that week, and that's what we've been trying for, is just to be able to go into the season saying, hey, no matter what we play, we can go play at a high level and defend the way we know how.
You play a team like Miami, which of course is just pace and tempo, the way their offense runs. How important is it for your guys, especially, Tua's going to try to fake and get the ball out quickly, to maybe disrupt and make it pause for just a little bit so the whole defense can function the way you want it to function?
Yeah, I mean, when we played them last year, going into the game, they were the number one offense in the NFL, and they had a fantastic season offensively. Tua had a big year, and those receivers, were as good as any combination in the league last year. So, they were a playoff team, and I think Mike did a really good job with that group last year. So that game that we played last year was a high-level game between two playoff teams, and I thought that was, certainly, one of our best games that we played in as a team. And I just thought their quality that they bring to the table is really high. They're well coached in all phases, and with Vic being there, it even makes them better. So they're an outstanding team, and they're well coached.
You did some things defensively in that game that they hadn't seen before that seemed to frustrate them. How much do you relish the chess match, knowing Mike's had a whole off season to maybe figure out some counters to what you guys did the last time?
Yeah, I mean, that's what the NFL is about, is the premium matchups like that. You got to measure yourself against the best people. And so, it's going to be another one of those type matchups where, you're going to have to do a lot of adjusting within the game because those guys are good coaches and they've got a lot of good players. It's their second year in the offense. So they're going to be playing even faster, and they've added some good pieces on top of what they already had. So it's going to be a tough challenge, and we're excited about it.